Hey everyone, so I'm sure you're all stuck at home like I am. I wanted to make this video so that I could share with you guys the different kinds of things that I'm doing. It doesn't mean that this is what everyone should be doing by any means. This is just what I'm doing and how I'm staying active and healthy and keeping my mind from going crazy. That's a really good thing too. As I'm sure probably most of you know, it's been quite a emotional roller coaster for athletes. Not only those athletes that are at a younger age, but also the athletes that are like me and have been prepping for Olympic trials in the Olympics. I remember talking to somebody last week, just a week ago, and things were very different than they are now. I'll talk a bit about the COC and CPC decision to not go to the Olympics and then the IOC deciding to postpone the Olympics. I'll talk about that at the end of the video if you want to stick around and hear my thoughts on that. But for the majority of this video, I will be just talking about how you can use some different coping mechanisms to deal with your time at home. Not necessarily specific to athletes, but this is what I'm doing, and I am an athlete. But if you're not an athlete, that's totally fine. And if you want to use some of these strategies, I think that they can be applied to anybody really. So let's get right to it. Tip number one, I'm sure that all of you guys have been told to come up with some kind of schedule. Athletes are super used to being told what to do and having schedules made for them, so it's quite a difficult time right now being kind of cut off from that and having to come up with your own schedule, which is kind of a weird thing because you have all this free time, but then you get really bored. It doesn't need to be a rigid schedule at all. I'll show you the kind of template that I've made for myself. Okay, so this is the very ugly looking activities list that I have. On a day-to-day, I'll try to get these kinds of things done. I have an app for both my mindfulness as well as my daily gratitude that I'll show you guys after. Try to get an exercise 2 times a day, and that can be something as a walk, working at home, so like just a YouTube video that I pull up, yoga, biking, lifting, whatever exercises work for you and work for your body. And I do at least one activity a day from above. This is my list. Some of them are chores with like dusting, laundry, cleaning floors, vacuuming's in there, cleaning bathrooms. Some of the other stuff is just for fun, so like vlogging, drawing and coloring, playing the flute, reading a book, which I haven't done in a really long time because of school, and reading articles has kind of ruined that for me, but whatever. Cooking, trying something new with that because I've got lots of time on my hands, so I can take time to cook. The last daily activity I do is connect with people, not really in person anymore. It's more with people through social media and texting. This is just a really rudimentary schedule planner. You can make it however you want. This is just what works for me, and you can find something that works for you. That's just an example of a very rough schedule. It can look like whatever you want it to look like. You can write it on big poster paper, you could put it on your phone, you can put it on a whiteboard if you have that. That'd be pretty cool. That'll look different for everyone. That's just an example of what I have right now because there isn't very much time constraint for what I have to do. This is a really great opportunity to get things done that you've been putting on the back burner. Said, oh, I'll get to these things later when I have more time or whatever. Well, now I have a lot of time on my hands, so I'm being really flexible with the time. But if you feel like you need more structure than that, you can definitely add more and give yourself sort of more like standardized times to do things at. Then you can totally do that too. Tip number 2, get outside. I know that lots of people are going outside for walks and all that good stuff, and that is awesome. We can still go outside right now. Don't go to the store or anything like that unless you have to, but you can still go outside and enjoy nature. You don't have to touch anyone or be close to anybody. We're fortunate in Lethbridge because we live in a very coolie area. You can go up and down the hills, which is a good idea. It's really important to get out and get some fresh air. Make sure that you're keeping your body and your mind happy and healthy. Get 2 birds with 1 stone and get that both done. It's super important to not fall sedentary. So tip number 3 is doing exercise at home is super important too. Going out for a walk is obviously really nice because you're outside, but if you're self-quarantined or you don't want to go outside and risk anything, then staying at home and doing a workout at home is a totally great option too. There's so much out there on the internet in terms of workout videos. You can pull up any kind of video that you want and you don't even need to have any equipment, and you can do that at home. I've been doing them too, and they're actually pretty good workouts. You can even look for ones that are 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes if you've only got a short amount of time, or if you want to do a longer one, then there's that there too. You can do things like stretching or yoga, high intensity interval training workouts, cardio workouts, body weight, all kinds of cool things, and they can be really specific or really general. It doesn't really matter as long as you're getting your body moving. There's no right or wrong answer to this. Just get yourself moving a little bit. That'll definitely make you feel better for sure. Number 4, eating clean and cooking at home. Obviously, there's a little bit of struggle with that right now because some restriction with what's available at a grocery store. So just working with what you have. I've got a lot of time on my hands right now, so I can kind of go into my fridge or my pantry or my freezer and look at the different things that I have and try to come up with something creative with what I've got. That's kind of fun if you have the time to do that. If you've got some extra time, is looking up different kinds of recipes, and if there's something that you had been wanting to try for a while but didn't have the time to do it, now is the time that you can do it and take a little extra time to make something nice and get creative with it. Cooking, it's very therapeutic for a lot of people. So is baking. I think most of you know I'm more of a baker than a cooker, but I'm having a lot of fun coming up with different kinds of recipes, going off and trying my own things. They sometimes don't work out okay. In the end, I'll eat it. It's food, so it's all good. Really try not to fall into the habit of ordering food. You don't know who's been touching it. Lots of restaurants, I think, are even closed right now. For peace of mind, it's really good to just be able to cook at home. You know who's touched your food, you know how it's been prepared, you know what's in it, and this also goes hand in hand with exercise. I'm obviously not working out as much as I usually do. Calories in is actually much more important than calories out, and being conscious of what's going into your body. Right now I have to adjust for lack of workload that I have, and making sure that what I'm eating is good and clean foods and won't negatively impact my body when we get back into full training. So it's really important, if you can't exercise or you don't have time, just make sure that you're eating healthy and what you're eating is appropriate for energy needs, and that'll help a lot with managing your body. Tip number 5, connecting with others, I have written down, which is still incredibly important. So we need to make sure that we're still talking to people and getting in touch with them. Obviously, we're not getting together in big groups, but it's important to make sure that you're still staying connected with people. Right now, it's a really hard time for everyone, and it's good to know that there's others that are feeling the same way. You can get in touch with people, obviously, through all different kinds of means without actually physically touching them or being close to them. WhatsApp, texting, Zoom, FaceTime, blogging, all of these cool things are at your disposal to be able to get in touch with people. Just because we're in isolation and have to be careful with going outside, that doesn't mean that you can't still talk to people and see how they're doing. It really helps with knowing that you're not alone in this situation, and it can also help because then you can talk to each other about creative ideas for staying entertained while you're kind of stuck in your house. Just last week, a friend of mine from Sweden that I used to swim with at SMU back in the day gave me a call, and she's living in Denmark right now, and that was super cool to catch up with her. I haven't talked to her in a long time, so it's really neat to be able to have the time to be able to do that now and talk to people and see how they're managing with things. Tip number 6, keeping your mind healthy. I showed you guys on my activity log that I practice mindfulness and gratitude every day. I do that through 2 different kinds of apps, which I will show you. So the first app that I use is called Headspace. I don't know if you can really see that, but you can get it in the App Store. I think that there are some meditations that you can do for free. If you wanted to check it out, it's super helpful. Let me just open it for you. So right now I'm doing a session on letting go of stress. It's like a male voice, female voice, and then you can choose how long you want your meditation to last. So it can be like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever works. This is like guided meditation, I guess you could say. It really helps with being in the moment, letting everything that's kind of going on in the world go for even just 10 minutes, and just helps you relax and come in tune with yourself and how you're feeling. And it's really important to do that. To just take some time and check in with yourself is a really important thing, especially to do now with all the stress that's out in the world. It's really nice to take some time for yourself and just kind of let some of that go. The second app that I use is a gratitude app. It is called 5 Minute Journal. If you can see that, kind of, sort of. It's a little bit pricey. I think it's $8 Canadian. Once you download it, you have it for ever, I guess. So practicing gratitude can look different for everyone. I like this app because I can just pull it up on my phone and it's right there, and it's super easy and super quick. I've done gratitude at the end of the day in a journal and just writing 3 things that I'm thankful for at the end of the day. I find that I am not super consistent when I have to do it myself and write it down. I've really enjoyed this app because it can send you little reminders to do that when you get up in the morning, and then again when you go to bed. The things that you do when you get up in the morning before you even start your day, you write down 3 things that you're grateful for, and then you write down 3 things that will make the day great, and then you write down a daily affirmation, something that's like, I am smart, or I am a good friend, anything like that. And then at the end of the day, you write down 3 amazing things that happened today. Then you can look at the whole thing throughout the day and see the difference from the morning to the evening. Practicing gratitude just makes you feel a lot more positive when there's hard things going on in your life, and especially right now, it's a difficult time for one reason or another for everybody. Practicing gratitude and being thankful for the small things can really help just bring a positive energy into your day when there's a lot of negativity and stress and anxiety out there. Tip number 7. This is the last tip, and the tip is limiting social media. I've got a bunch of time right now, and I can just sit on apps and flit through 3 of them for like hours, and it's such a waste of time. Staying connected to the news can be really detrimental to your health, honestly, and your mindset. Of course, it's very important to be informed and know what's going on and make sure that you're doing all the right things to keep yourself and your family safe and the general public safe, but there's so much information out there, and a lot of it we don't really need. So if you find yourself sitting and going through these apps or on like Twitter and things like that, or watching the news a lot and it's giving you anxiety or negative feelings, it's probably a good idea to limit yourself and limit your exposure to the news and social media and kind of stay away from that. You know that this is going on out in the world. You know the things right now, what to do to keep yourself safe and your family safe, and you can do those things, and that's in your control. You don't need a whole lot of extra noise. It can be really toxic with all the information that's coming in, and even misinformation that's causing you stress or anxiety when really there's no need for it in the end. One of the strategies that could be used is just making sure that you're only looking at the news maybe 2 or 3 times a day. This will allow you to know what's going on in the world, but it won't kind of get you in an obsession and get your mind racing and being active all the time with all this information coming in. It'll just give you a chance to kind of check in and then check out and do the things that are good for you. So those are my 7 tips to help cope with staying at home and managing this pandemic. I hope that they help. You can try as many as you like or not try any of them at all. That's totally fine. This is just what I'm doing, and this is what has been helping me for the last, I guess it's been a week and a half now that we've been sort of stuck at home. So that's it for the 7 tips. I hope that these help. If you would like to stay and listen to me talk about the Canadian Olympic Committee and Canadian Paralympic Committee coming to the decision to not go to the Olympics this year, you can stick around and listen to that. But if not, I'll see you later. So it was decided a few days ago by the COC and CPC that they wouldn't be sending athletes to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. This news didn't exactly come as a shock to me because it just made sense in my mind. It was actually something that I found to be quite a relief. I know that that's not true for everybody, and definitely it is a disappointment that things didn't go as everybody planned this year, but these things are completely out of our control. When I heard the news, I was actually really proud of Canada and proud to be a part of a team in a country that took the first step. It was the first country to decide not to send athletes to Japan, and I think that this was a really brave and bold move to do that. Australia closely followed after, saying that they wouldn't be sending athletes either, and then about, I don't know, a day or 2 later, the IOC and Japan said that they would be postponing the Olympics. Again, it just made sense. I was really glad when Canada announced that they wouldn't be sending athletes because it took a lot of pressure off of feeling like I had to keep training and try to stay at tip-top shape when obviously swimmers can't get into a pool now across the nation, and that's definitely having a detriment on our physical fitness, not being able to perform the sport that we would otherwise be expected to perform at our best in a few months. Oftentimes I feel like athletes can be kind of treated like a commodity instead of human beings, so it was really nice to feel like with this decision that we are human beings first. With people still trying to train to be at their peak performance and expecting to go to the Olympics, they're putting themselves in dangerous situations for themselves as well as their families and putting themselves at risk. This is a public health matter. If we ended up going to the Olympics, not only would the athletes be at risk, but the coaches would be at risk, and all of the support staff that have to go would also be at risk, and then going back home and potentially infecting their families. So I'm really pleased on that standpoint as well for this decision. Going ahead with the Olympics and going to participate would have gone against all of the public health recommendations that are being sent out right now. And sure, it's a few months away, but honestly, with how things are evolving, I can't imagine things clearing up that quickly, as well as we just aren't able to train right now. So even if we did go, we wouldn't be at our best and be able to perform at our best because a lot of athletes haven't been able to train. Also, with swimming, we haven't selected an Olympic team to go yet. We don't have anyone qualified, and that's true for 43% of the Canadian team. It hasn't been selected yet. So hypothetically, if the Olympics went ahead and we were to go, we haven't even hosted Olympic trials yet to select the team. How would we be able to cram that in and select a team, or go through some other means to try to select a team when nobody's training right now, and then send a team that isn't fully prepared to compete at their very best, which is what the Olympics is all about? I think that a lot of athletes would have trouble with that. This decision was also based on the fact that there are some Paralympic athletes who have a compromised immune system, and if they contracted the coronavirus, it would be very, very dangerous for them and possibly even life-threatening. With this decision, it now allows athletes to take a bit of a breather. I know that it's been a total roller coaster of emotions, and there are people that are incredibly disappointed and maybe frustrated and angry. I'm fortunate enough to be able to be in the situation where I can train for another year and continue on, but I know that that isn't the case for everybody, which is very unfortunate. It is quite a relief knowing that the Olympics won't be going ahead. Now we can really truly and follow the measures that we need to put in place to keep the public health safe, and all the athletes don't have that pressure of feeling like they need to train and get ready for something. This past year has been a really good building year for me. I'm sort of treating it as that. I prematurely, I guess, finished off the season in a really good place, and I'm happy about that, to be able to start off in good footing for the next year. And right now I'm just taking things day by day and controlling what I can control, and kind of letting the rest of the stuff wash over, and acknowledge that things are not easy right now. Everybody reacted to this news differently, and everybody's emotions are valid. Just because somebody reacts this way or I react this way doesn't mean that you should feel like you have to react the same way. This is a very, very personalized and unique situation that we are all in, and it's definitely important to know that your feelings are valid and to recognize them. And you don't necessarily need to even make a plan moving forward with what you want to do yet. If you're really at a crossroads, whether you want to take another year or not, then take that time, and you don't have to decide anything right away, because sports won't be up and running, I can't imagine, for quite a while. If you're totally unmotivated and you don't feel like working out right now, then don't work out. Take your time. It's a good time right now to take a rest. You definitely can. There's no pressure for anybody right now to feel like they need to be at peak performance. And if you feel like you need a bit of distance from the sporting world, then take that distance, whatever you need, do it. It's not like because certain athletes are working out and feeling great about this, doesn't mean that all athletes need to be feeling great and working out still. If you need a bit of a break and if you need a mental recharge, definitely take that time and do what's good for you. And even just going for a walk, getting some fresh air might make you feel a lot better. But if you just want to stay at home and watch some TV or some movies for a while, that's totally fine too. Nobody should be telling you this is how you should feel or this is how you should be doing things. Do what you think is right for you. Make the choices that you feel like will serve you best, keeping in mind that you want to keep the public safe and healthy as well. I hope that this was a helpful video, and please let me know if anybody wants to chat about the Olympics being postponed or any of these coping mechanisms that I have in this video. Please just contact me on Instagram or on Facebook or any other means, and I'd be happy to chat about it. Let's all stay safe and healthy and look out for one another and be kind to each other. Bye!